Night of Champions 2025 was an okay show with a few talking points. My predictions, ultimately, I went 50-50. I got 3 correct, which is pretty poor. But I'm here to give you some of my reactions and thoughts about the card. If you like what I'm doing here on YouTube, please leave a like and subscribe for more content. Alright, let's get into it. First match of the night, and a match I was surprised to see open the card, was Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton in the King of the Ring finals. These two had a good back and forth competitive match. I think we all expected this from these two. They're both great performers. They've been in the industry so long that it's probably hard for them to have a bad match against each other. Unsurprisingly, Cody Rhodes won this match. I've seen a lot of people online saying that Cody didn't need this win, Randy needed it. I think in a match with two performers of this level, nobody needs to win. You kind of say those things when there's performers that are kind of mid-card or just about to burst into the mid-card or the upper-card level, that one needs to win more than the other. This loss doesn't hurt Randy Orton. I think if Randy won, it wouldn't hurt Cody. But in the story that WWE is trying to tell, I think Cody needed to win, if you want to use that terminology. It just makes the most sense. Cody's going to probably go after Cena for the title at SummerSlam. Well, we know he's going to go after Cena for the title at SummerSlam. If Orton wins, it'll just complicate things further. I think it makes the most sense for Cody to win. Again, he's the WWE poster boy. He's getting all the wins. He's winning the Royal Rumbles. He's getting the main events of WrestleMania. Now he's got King of the Ring. I think we all expected it. Cody did give an odd speech after the match, though, where he basically was saying, oh, good job, like, Randy Orton, we love you. Woo, it's not your last dance. And Randy kind of looked back at him. He kind of was sneering, looked like he might kind of go back and attack and maybe turn heel. So they're probably setting up something down the road there. Maybe he'll cost Cody the match at SummerSlam. I felt like that wasn't needed. Like, Cody basically said this speech that he kind of masked it with his language, but he basically said to the fans, I know that when I'm facing your favourites, you know, we got a polarising reaction, but I don't care. I'm going to beat them anyway. So, I don't know. I'm sick of the Cody Rhodes experiment. I think that downplays it a lot. It wasn't an experiment. Cody Rhodes was great for WWE. It led to probably their best period they've had in 20 plus years. Cody Rhodes is a great performer. He's a great character. Lots of people love him. I don't know. I feel like as the top babyface, you know, what is the storylines? It's just, you know, he's like a more likable John Cena. And what I mean by that is John Cena in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, where he just won a lot. You know, Cody has lost plenty, but he also has won plenty, and that I feel like in a lot of his matches is a foregone conclusion. We know we're just going to circle back to Cody winning the championship like we did with Cena back then. I just feel like a lot of his storylines are kind of formulaic. I'm not going to be evil. I'm not going to sacrifice my values. How could you? I'm the company guy. You know, that can get a bit tiresome. I'm not saying WWE needs to turn Cody heel immediately or they need to push him down the cart. He's still very popular. Cody Rhodes still has great matches. I like Cody Rhodes. I just feel like it would be nice to see a number one babyface. You know, LA Knight, could he fill that spot? They're probably not going to give it to him. Who else could they give it to? I don't know. I mean, Jacob Fatu's getting those type of reactions, but he's not going to be the out-and-out babyface. It does make sense. It should still be Cody. I mean, Cena will fill that role when he becomes a babyface again, but that'll only be for the last few months of his tour. So I know it's going to be Cody, and Cody is going to be the top babyface for years and years to come. Look, just don't come at me. I'm just not a huge Cody Rhodes fan. He's great for the company. I like his work. I don't hate him. I don't yawn when I see him. Just on a personal level, I kind of wish they went a different direction. But they're going to go with Cody Cena. Hopefully it'll be a better match than the WrestleMania match. Hopefully Cena wins. No, I don't know who's going to win. I mean, Cody's probably going to win. We're Cena for life on here. But overall, Cody Rhodes, King of the Ring winner. It makes sense. It was a decent match. Nothing amazing. Next, we had the street fight between Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley. I was surprised. I did expect this to be a good match. They're both great workers. But this was actually a really, really good match. I thought both women put in a great performances. There was a lot of nice bumps. I did think the ending bump didn't really make sense. The top rope riptide, because they just jumped off a table. You'd get the same bump from just jumping off the top rope. Nobody went through a table, but I understand, like, it looks great, the spectacle of it all. Roxanne Perez interfering. I did notice while watching this, all of the women's gear looked very similar. I know they're limited in Saudi with what they can wear, but it was just black, one-piece leather almost. I mean, Raquel was slightly off black, but I don't know, maybe you could add a bit of colour in there. But I just did notice that. I think as fans, we always notice when gears are very clashy. Not that it's very hard to tell people apart. I think we can tell who's who. But I just think from a contrast standpoint, it's just more nice visually if gears aren't looking exactly the same. I don't know where they're going to go from here with the storyline. There was nothing from Liv Morgan. I know she's injured, but I thought she might come out and cost Rhea the match. Obviously, Roxanne Perez came out not successful in helping Raquel Rodriguez. Is that going to, you know, fuel more dissension in the Judgment Day? Is Rhea going to go back to full-on feuding with the Judgment Day? I hope not. We've seen that a million times. I feel like Rhea's going to push on now into some sort of title picture from here. I don't think it's going to result in her going back into a Judgment Day feud. So I feel like this more served, you know, Roxanne couldn't help Raquel get the win, so it's going to fuel the Judgment Day thing and Rhea separately. Decent match though, good match. Next, in his first PLE appearance since WrestleMania 40, was Karrion Kross against Sami Zayn. The crowd was hyped for Karrion Kross in this one. All night the Saudi crowd was really good. I know a lot of people have kind of doubts about the Saudi crowd and their legitimacy as wrestling fans, but they do always bring a good energy. They're always excited. I think maybe they feel like they've got a chip on their shoulder. They've got something to prove. They know the world is kind of against them, if you will. So I thought they were great energy all night, and this match was no different. Cross's entrance was actually great. It really looked well with the set. The set was great in this night, but Scarlett in the foreground, when the black and white transitions into colour, that always looks great when Cross does that. They got the crowd chanting his song, him beating his chest to the beats of his song. He had a great presentation here. The match was great, a good back and forth. I just felt like Cross should win. I just don't know where they go from here. This isn't a burial. This isn't, okay, Cross is getting pushed back down the card. I hope it's not. You just feel like, is it just going to be continuing the story of... Because Cross's whole thing is, AJ, Sammy, you can't get the job done if you don't turn to the dark side. You turn heel, turn evil. But Sammy did get the job done. What happens next? Is he just, oh well, you still did get the job done, but you still stood turn evil. He didn't even sacrifice himself like in the AJ match, so I don't know. I felt like there would be more meat on the bone if Cross won. It could fuel a bit more. Look, I told you so, Sammy. So I don't know where they're going to go from here. And I hope this isn't the last we've seen of Cross at this level, a featured PLE featured talent. Why can't he be in a mid-card title picture, whether it's a US or Intercontinental title? Why not give him a tag run with somebody? I don't know where they're going to go from here. This is probably, out of all the storylines on this show, this is the one I least know where they're going to go, because you assume they would give Cross the win here and go on from there, so I don't know. But it was in Saudi, obviously you've got Sami Zayn, his connection to the Saudi crowd in Saudi Arabia, so it was probably a feel-good moment there. I should have seen that coming. I just thought they should have given a Cross. Decent match, but disappointed Cross didn't get the win. Next for the US title, Jacob Fatu defended against Solo Sikoa. I think Solo again proved that he can hang in these type of matches, these high-pressure occasions where he feels like he needs to deliver because the crowd is expecting a lot of him. And Jacob Fatu again showing why he's an awesome talent. He always pulls out moves that you just can't believe a guy of his size can do, and specifically how quickly he can do them and transition from one to the next. It's always awesome. But ultimately the numbers game got the best of Jacob when we had a returning Tama Tonga and a debuting Hikuleo, which I believe they're now calling Tala Tonga, if I'm correct. Which there's a lot of Tongas. It's Tonga Loa, Tama Tonga, Talalonga, Solo Sikoa. We'll get used to it, but it can be hard to kind of roll those names off the tongue. JC Mateo was in there, and all of this manpower was just too much for Jacob to overcome, and ultimately it led to Solo winning the US title. So it seems like the natural progression to this is they're probably developing to a War Games match for Survivor Series, but then the main event, guys are probably developing to a War Games match with a Seth Rollins faction against someone else. So I don't know where they're going to go. Are they going to go two men's War Games matches? I don't know. I predicted Solo to win here, and I'm happy he won. I think, he deserves a US title. I think he's an underrated talent. The match itself wasn't nothing to write home about, but it was solid. But I think it's a good foundation. People want to cheer Jacob. Jacob is the babyface. They want to see him chase. So I feel like it's just going to fuel him on. He might recruit some... maybe it's about time Jacob recruited some babyface bloodline members so he can put out a call to some of his cousins, aunts or uncles and see who can come in and help him. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but happy Solo got the win. In your second last match, it was Asuka versus Jade Cargill in the Queen of the Ring finals. Another match I predicted incorrectly. Look, Asuka's a great talent. Jade Cargill is improving week on week. These had a good, solid match. Asuka's gear and face paint look great. She always looks good when she goes out there. She's very intimidating, a great presence in the ring. I just felt Asuka was going to win here because I felt like Naomi was going to get involved. I felt like she was going to cost Jade. She doesn't want Jade as a number one contender. She wants to be the sole number one contender in her little Jade, Bianca Belair and Naomi kind of triangle there. So I just felt like there was more storyline opportunities because I know WWE are more than capable to set up Asuka in a great program, and the Jade, Naomi, Bianca stuff already has track laid in front of it for a storyline there. But ultimately Jade hit the Jaded, pins Asuka. She's the new Queen of the Ring at SummerSlam. Will Jade win the title? Naomi's going to cash in, push them on. So they do have options here. I'm not completely shocked that Jade won. I just felt like, Asuka just returned. Does it bury her? Probably not. They're pushing Jade. Jade is strong. And Asuka's so established, she's been around for so long, it's not going to hurt her too much. I do think the Naomi and Jade kind of dynamic is really interesting. You kind of got two people with a number one contender in their pocket, so to speak, ready to unleash it. Obviously Jade at SummerSlam and Naomi at any time. So it'll be interesting to see them going back and forth. Like Naomi's obviously going to be a looming threat in the SummerSlam picture. So I think the women's have a solid Money in the Bank kind of picture as we go forward for the rest of the year. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And in the main event, allegedly for the last time ever, John Cena against CM Punk, who does not like Saudi Arabia. Allegedly. But he seems to have turned around on it now. Look, obviously I'm a big Cena fan. This was my most anticipated match of the night. Probably most people's most anticipated match. And what do I got to say about it? Ultimately, I think I got to lean more towards on disappointing. There was some great spots in there. There was great moments of brilliance you could see between the two men, but I just feel like they didn't let it breathe. There was too much, I don't know, plotting and a few rest spots in there that it just didn't have the intensity. I know the two men are a lot older. I think it's unfair to expect the exact same from their matches, 10 plus years ago. I still would have liked if they gave them the time to have a clean finish, whether you went with Cena or Punk women. I liked that Cena, he was going to hit Punk with the title at one point, he threw it down. That sowing the seeds for a Cena face turn. I want to do this on my own. I like that little bit there. But as the match went on, we got a ref bump. Punk hailed to the back to bring out a referee. And who comes out but it's Seth Rollins. He's flanked by Braun Brick, Bronson Reed, Paul Heyman. He's going to catch in the Money in the Bank. It was an interesting dynamic between Seth and Cena. Cena looks like he's doing the babyface thing by stopping the cash in, etc. The crowd goes cheers. Even the commentary acknowledges it of like, oh, he's kind of shades of the old Cena. Ultimately, he is just saving himself because it's his title he doesn't want to lose. I think Seth is such a heel at the moment that when Cena kind of takes out him, it makes him the default babyface between the two of them. So again, further little planting the seeds that, is Cena slowly starting to turn face. There was a great moment here where Seth just gestures to the back to call out a referee. We got a call back to WrestleMania 24 with Charles Robinson sprinting down the ramp and Cena just tackles him out of it. It was brilliant. You could actually see Charles Robinson brace himself when he was running because he knew it was coming. It was so funny. Cena comes out of nowhere, tackles him. He didn't need to hit him that hard, but it was so funny. There is a moment after this where Cena and Punk embrace. It looks like they're going to shake hands, but I see this coming. They hug and then the camera gets a close-up of Cena, just like when he turned heel back at Elimination Chamber. His face just drops. Evil Cena takes over. He goes for the low blow. Punk counters. It leads to Seth eventually coming in. He hits the stomp on Punk, but Cena gets rid of him. The ref scurries in out of nowhere, the original ref. Gets the 3. Cena retains. He looks really smug. And again, I feel like this is setting up a kind of renewed rivalry of Seth and Punk. Seth has been a constant thorn in Punk's side since he's come back to WWE, and he cost him the title here, so that'll probably lead to something there. It is a shame to see Cena and Punk's last match finish with so many shenanigans. Unless they have another one, I don't think they will. It was a good match. It was match of the night, in my opinion. And I think it's very clear to see where they're going to go from here. Punk and Rollins are going to go their separate ways. Cena and Cody are going to have their match at SummerSlam, and that makes sense. Why don't we spice up Punk and Rollins at SummerSlam? Put the Money in the Bank on the line or something like that. You can still have Seth retain. I kind of like Seth with the Money in the Bank briefcase, but have that little, just a bit of extra spice to the feud would be nice. At the end of the day, it is a pretty skippable show. I don't think there's anything on here that you absolutely need to see. Solid. Again, I think it's unfair to say it was a bad show. I think it sits on that 5, 6 out of 10. I know the Saudi shows can be a mixed bag, but I think for a Saudi show, I think it was better than average. But yeah, 3 out of 6 on predictions, 50%, not great at all. What do I know? Hopefully I do better on the next big event coming up. I think it's the 12th of July, Saturday night's main event. There's only one match announced for that so far. I think it's Gunther versus Goldberg. Will that be the main event? I think it'll be the main event. Gunther, please win. I hope they have a good match, but I hope Gunther wins, please. Okay, that's it from me. What did you think of Night of Champions? What was your favourite match on the show? And were you happy with the results? Did you predict better than I did? You probably did. Not very hard. Alright, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you around.